Hello, in this video we're going to study a very simple but a very fundamental property of line. So let us consider this line drawn in maroon wherein I emphasize some points, namely A, B, C, and D. And this line is on the Cartesian plane. So according to our previous knowledge of lines, two distinct points determines a line. So we're going to pick 2 points at a time and observe what information can we get from those 2 points on the line. Okay, so take for example, points A and B, and let us draw this right triangle. And this right triangle has 2 legs, the vertical leg and the horizontal leg. And let us call the length of this vertical leg as the rise. And let us call the length of this horizontal leg as the run. Run, not rum. Run. So in this example, we have a rise of 2 units and the run is 3. Okay. Let's pick another 2 points. So let's take the pair, say B and D. So we draw our right triangle again. And our rise now is of what length? 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is 4 units. And the run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the run is 6. Okay, let's pick another pair. Let's say AD. AD. Okay, so we have this right triangle. Our rise is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. While our run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so what can you observe about this rise and run with this pair of rise and runs? So when you divide them, when you get the ratio of rise and run, for the first one, we have 2/3. For the second pair, we have 4/6, which is the same as 2/3. And the last line, we have 6/9. And when you simplify 6/9, you get 2/3. Hey, look. The rise over run is fixed. It's always 2/3, regardless of the pair of points that we get. And this is actually the property that we want from the line. And we call this property the slope of the line. And we have a formula for the slope if you are given the 2 points on the line or any 2 points on the line. So this is the formula. So the slope m, so we usually write the slope using letter m. And according to my first year high school teacher, it is m because it stands for the word mountain, because mountains are steep. And the slope is a measure for the steepness of the line. Or in Tagalog, we call it tarik. The slope tells you kung gaano katarik yung line. Okay, so the slope m of the line that passes through these 2 points, we call these 2 points x1, y1, and x2, y2. So let's give a drawing. Let's say this is our line. Oops, I want a straight line. And let's say this is x1, y1, x2, y2. Or this can also serve as x2, y2, while this one is x1, y1. It doesn't matter. So any of the 2 points can be x1, y1, and the other is x2, y2. So the slope is y2 minus y1. That is the numerator, all over x2 minus x1. So this represents the rise divided by the run. Okay, so let us do some examples for clarity. Okay, so let us give the slope of the line that passes through the following points, following pairs of points. So for the first example, we have this point and this point. So you can name this one as x1, y1, x2, y2, or x2, y2, x1, y1. It doesn't matter. So but for simplicity, I will call this one x1, y1, and the other point x2, y2. And according to our formula, the slope is y2 minus y1, 9 minus 3, divided by x2 minus x1. So that is negative 4 minus negative 2, which is 9 minus 3 is 6 divided by negative 4. When you see minus negative, it means plus. So you have negative 4 plus 2, which is negative 2. Or the slope is negative 3. Okay. Number 2. Okay, so let's call this one x1, y1, while for 2, x2, y2. Let us compute for the slope. So according to our formula, y2 minus y1 is 2 minus 2 divided by x2 minus x1. So that is 4 minus negative 1. So we get 0 divided by 4 minus negative 1 is 5. And 0 divided by a non-zero number is 0. Okay? And for the last example, before we proceed with the next part of this lecture, okay, let's say this is x1, y1, x2, y2. So the slope is, this is y2, y1, y2 minus y1. So we get 3 minus 4 divided by x2 minus x1. So it's negative 1 minus negative 1. And we get negative 1 over 0. And you cannot divide a non-zero number by 0. So if this one happens, you have a 0 denominator and the numerator is non-zero, you say that the slope is undefined. Okay. And let us proceed with some observations. Okay, so the first one, can we draw the line? Let us draw the line. Okay. So we have negative 2, 3. Where is negative 2, 3? Negative 2, 3 is somewhere there. And we have negative 4. That is too big. Okay. So this drawing is not drawn to scale. So let's say this is negative 2, 3. And negative 4, 9 is somewhere here. So your line looks something like this. While the line in number 2 looks like, where are our points? Negative 1, 2. Let's say this is negative 1, 2, and 4, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. This is 4, 2. Okay, so our line is a horizontal line. While, what is this line? We have negative 1, 4. This is negative 1, 4. And this is negative 1, 3. So we have this line. So what is our observation? So here, a horizontal line will have a slope of 0, while a vertical line has an undefined slope. While if your slope is negative, your line would look like something like this. Okay, like this one. And let us summarize those results and give some justification. So the slope of a horizontal line is, the answer there is 0. Why is that so? Because let's say this is your xy plane, and let's say this is your horizontal line. So if we pick 2 points to compute for the slope, let's say this is x1, y1. Of course, this is x2. But the y-coordinate of this point is the same as that of x1, of y1. The same as that of this one. So the y-coordinate is also y1 because their y-coordinate is y1. And if you compute for the slope is the difference of this y, so y1 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. And since we pick distinct points, this x1 and x2 must be different. So this is non-zero, while the numerator is 0. That's why the slope is 0. And for the vertical line, okay, so let's say this is our xy plane, and this is our line. So let's call the first point x1, y1. So the other point, let's say this is the other point. The x-coordinate of that point is also x1. Okay, because all the points here have the same x-coordinate, which is this one. And let's say the y-coordinate is some y2. Okay, so what is m? So m is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. x2 minus x1. Of course, the numerator is non-zero. And the y values are different. So this, or the non-zero because the y values are different. This is y1, this is y2. That's why the difference is non-zero. While the difference of this x2 minus x1, our x2 here is this. That is x1 also. This is 0. And non-zero over 0 is undefined. That's why the slope of a vertical line is undefined, as we have seen from the previous example. And finally, the last case, if the slope of the line is non-zero. So we have two cases, if the slope is positive and if the slope is negative. So m greater than 0, that means m is positive. M less than 0, that means m is negative. So your line looks something like this. It will point to the right. Okay, something upward. So this is your x-axis. This is your y-axis. And if your slope is negative, your line will look like this. Something downward or pointing to the left. Okay, so how do we justify that? So let's say this is x2, y2, and this is x1, y1. So for the first case, m is y2, y1 over x2 minus x1. And as you can see here, this is y2 and this is y1. y2 is larger than y1. So this is positive. And the denominator, this is x1, while this is x2. Okay? x1, x2. So this x2 minus x1 is also positive. That's why the slope is positive. Okay, so if the slope is positive, your line will look like something like this. Or you can actually interchange the positions. And you can actually use the same argument for m less than 0. Or if your line looks like this, the slope is negative. Okay, so that is the summary of the results. So the slope of a horizontal line is 0. The slope of a vertical line is undefined. And if your line looks like this, the slope is positive. If your line looks like this, the slope is negative. Okay? So that ends our video tutorial for this video. And in our next episode, we're going to get the equation of a line. Bye. See you there.